America in the 18th century, a place where dreams of freedom and independence sparked a revolution. But how did a group of colonists take on the mightiest empire of the time? Welcome to our journey through the American Revolution. It's the 1760s. 13 British colonies stretch along the east coast of North America. At this point, most colonists saw themselves as British citizens. They followed British laws, used British currency, and traded within British networks. But trouble was brewing. The British government, facing enormous debt from the 7 Years' War, decided to raise taxes on the American colonies. First came the Stamp Act of 1765, then the Townshend Acts. The colonies were furious. Why should they pay taxes to a government that didn't even represent them? Outrage quickly turned to resistance, and groups like the Sons of Liberty started organizing protests, demanding no taxation without representation. Then, in 1770, tensions escalated to violence in an event known as the Boston Massacre. British soldiers opened fire on a crowd of colonists, killing 5 people. This was no longer just about taxes, it was about justice. 3 years later, the colonists' anger boiled over again with the Boston Tea Party. In response to the Tea Act, which taxed their favorite drink, colonists dressed as Native Americans boarded British ships and dumped hundreds of chests of tea into Boston Harbor. Britain was furious and passed the intolerable acts to punish the colonies. But instead of breaking their spirits, these acts only united the colonies in their fight for freedom. April 1775. The first shots of the American Revolution rang out in Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts. British troops, on a mission to seize colonial weapons, met fierce resistance. The colonists, known as Minutemen for their quick response time, stood their ground. With this shot heard round the world, the colonies found themselves at war. Soon after, delegates met in Philadelphia to form the Continental Congress, appointing George Washington as their commander-in-chief. A year later, on July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress took a bold step. Led by Thomas Jefferson, they drafted the Declaration of Independence, stating that the colonies were free and sovereign states. This document wasn't just a declaration, it was a statement of American ideals that would inspire generations to come. But the road to freedom was far from over. Over the next several years, the war continued. The British Army was powerful, well-trained, and well-equipped. But the American forces had an advantage. They were fighting on their own land, and they had the will to win. With help from France and a final victory at Yorktown in 1781, the colonies forced the British to surrender. 2 years later, the Treaty of Paris officially ended the war and recognized the United States of America as a new, independent nation. The American Revolution wasn't just a war. It was the birth of a new idea, that people could govern themselves and seek freedom. Today, the legacy of those brave colonists who fought for their independence lives on in the values we hold dear. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more history content.